Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rational Investors Broiler Chicken Show. I have no idea if I'm recording here or not. Been out of the loop, of course, for a couple weeks and just turning this big honking computer back on. I don't know whether you guys over there. I see there's a few people over on the YouTube page. Good old regulars. Norray, Karim. Who else? Looking forward to seeing BB again. PM. There's Adam. I don't know whether I'm actually recording or not. If I am, can somebody say something? Sound good. All right, well, that's encouraging. Nure says a chicken thing. Well, yeah, I guess it looks like it's streaming. Can never tell with this stuff, and I'm terrible at it. But anyway, I guess you all know, and I don't know if this is going to be public or not, but Dave Destroyer Stud Muffin says, hello, welcome back. All right, well, I guess we have this thing working. I've loaded up just a few charts and stuff because I'm really trying to see if I can get the camera working. I remember before I left, the camera wasn't working, and I tried to load up a whole bunch of stuff, and the camera froze again. So clearly, there's something wrong with the camera. There's Adam says you're live. Well, so I don't know. Yeah, we can try and turn the camera on. Let's see what happens. Survey says, mind you, yeah, this thing's screwed up here, so I don't even know if the image is going to come through. Camera's all wonky. Let's see. Oh, I can see the desktop over on YouTube. Okay, video capture. Hey, there I am. What a handsome guy with his old man glasses. Interesting to see, number one, how long this lasts. And number two, whether it actually goes through to YouTube or not. Anyway, so there I am on camera on OBS. All right. Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, there I am. Boop. Hey, Brian's on YouTube. It's a miracle. I think we'll, man, maybe do like an hour or so here. It is getting lighter out now, so I don't mind doing Liam a little bit later in the day. Should probably call them just to make sure they're on board. I don't know whether this, what's weird is I paid for a plan, upgrades and all that crap, and I don't even think it worked when I was down in California. It was such a bummer. Let's see if this works. If it does, I'm going to put myself on mute. Calling. He thinks there's something wrong with his cell phone. Kind of a bummer. It's just not doing anything. Oh well, that's what you get. Probably not a good idea to do one of these shows and try and make a phone call at the same time, eh? Anyway, there's Jim and Liz. So I settled up my bet with them this past week. I don't know whether you saw. I think I posted in the lounge, more personal type pictures I posted in the lounge and on the site. But it was awfully nice having dinner with them. Actually, I think I did a group shot. Let's see, is there a group shot? Group shot, tastes great. On the, where are we here? Oh, camera froze. Did it? What a bummer. So clearly there's something wrong with the camera because I put all the damn tabs away. Oh, well, I guess I'll just turn that off. What ends up happening? No, I don't really want to. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it didn't freeze. What a knucklehead. Oh, and I turned it off just as I look at that. What a doofus. These YouTube videos are so stupid. Everything's delayed and stuff, so you don't know what the heck's going on in real time. So this is why you should have like a show producer and director, and why me just doing this on my own. Yeah, look at that, the camera's working. What a knucklehead. Oh well. Well, who knows if I can provide you any value or not today. Consider this more entertainment than edutainment, I guess. Let's see, where were we? This is the TRI page. There was a few questions though in the AMA document from current students that I really wanted to speak to, so that's why I kind of forced the issue here today to make sure I did this video. All right, where were we? Geez, really ripping it on some of these stock picks lately. And I did find it interesting. Mr. Trump is inaugurated, and China goes into a rip-roaring bull run. Go figure, eh? I think everybody had it tapped exactly the opposite. But we're still long this free position. If anything, this is a really good analogy of everything I'm trying to teach you guys to do. So we've been doing a lot of bull call spreads recently, and I absolutely love them. A nice cheap way to play the market. So this one, we actually bought the position here. Stock jumped up to here, and the spread doubled. So we sell 2/3 of the spread. So you book like a 20-30% return on your money. It's not such a bad life. They say that if you can do better than 30% annualized rate of return on your money, compounded, you beat you beat like 90% of all investors ever. So this strategy, all you got to do is just get to that first fill. And if you can get that fill, then the rest of the position's just a free ride. And sure enough, stock backed off. When stocks go up, stocks go down. And Baba took off and broke out to new highs here. Who knows how high this thing wants to go. But we have a risk-free trade, and if this thing maxes out at our profits, the return on the trade's like 300-400% return. So it's like everything that we teach through our education program, from sort of identifying higher time frame, reasonable. In fact, actually, I think we even put out a report on this specifically on the trade. Fundamentals plus technicals equals rational ideas, then the application of advanced option strategies to reduce costs, and then trade management, how you're going to manage the trade to try and get yourself into that risk-free trade plus 20-30% return as fast as possible. Try and keep as many hairs on the top of your head as possible. As you can see, I'm trying to keep my hair going. Rinse and repeat. It's a pretty easy way to go through life, I'll tell you that much. So anyway, so as I had said, obviously Baba's a big proxy there in China, People's Republic of Thievery, I suppose, with Winnie the Pooh. This company once was owned by a gentleman by the name of Jack Ma, who's conveniently been erased from human history. Thank you, CCP. Quite remarkable how they do this shit. Anyway, so not a big surprise that with it performing the way it is, that things like the big exchange traded funds, this is the Hong Kong fund, it's putting in big fat W's and breaking out here and looking very, very bullish. Which is really interesting because this is the world where theoretically the anti-China guy is supposed to be in power down in the States. But it just goes to show, oh, camera froze? Damn. All right, I'm just turning it off. That's it. Had enough of this charade. Enough of that. Anyway. And interesting. You have no interest, no comments there about Baba and how much money you made because TRI or Brian was, pointing you in the right direction. No. Camera froze. Social media fail. You suck. Well, I don't want to kill that one. Let's kill that one. At least we'll get that silly image off of the screen. Oh, goodness. Man, this was quite a crazy past few weeks for health-wise, eh? So I had a little bug, and geez, I sure hope I didn't give it to all the families and stuff that I visited. Probably did. My apologies ahead of time. But I wanted to show you actually the whole point of the trip. There it is. This was our Sacramento meetup. So a whole bunch of TRI peeps in Sacramento. There's the old man sporting his funny goatee and receding hairline. Anyway, actually, there's Adam, my gracious host, while I was in Sacramento, and various site people. And as you can see, they're all having steaks because I made a promise to certain individuals. I won't name names here, no sense in making them feel awkward. That I would come back 1 year later and buy them a steak dinner if. And this was their choosing. I said, look, we could go anywhere. They decided on this restaurant. I wasn't overly impressed, but I picked up the tab. I wasn't overly impressed with my steak that I got, but I hope you all enjoyed yourself and had a good meal. But one promise fulfilled. As I said, I am a man of my word, and I said I was going to do that, and I did it. And I'm very proud of these people. I think they're all working their way if they just keep their nose clean. Try and remember Brian's 2 rules of investing. Ironically enough, if you actually obey those 2 rules of investing and don't get greedy, try and approach the market from a algorithmic perspective. Try and have 3 if-then-elses in your algorithm. You'd be surprised. It's actually very difficult to lose money over time in this game. The only problem is nobody can follow the rules. It drives you absolutely crazy how people just can't follow the rules. BB's back after the Beamish tour. Yeah, well, I was having fun there. Traveling, geez, heading into the States now. Wow, what a headache that is. So, ironically enough, coming back, I was totally figuring that they were going to stop me for a good couple hours at the border. And the guy's like, hey, welcome back to prison. You got your spot. It's right over there. Make yourself at home. So, no. Anyway, they let me through tickety-boo. So, also, too, and I don't have pictures on here. Don't want them to feel uncomfortable. Snuck over to Hawaii for a week on the trip. And hung out with my level 4 instructor at the site. In fact, he had class yesterday. I missed it because I was driving so much. I drove from Sacramento back to Vancouver in 2 days. It was 18 hours of driving. Ugh. Brain totally fried. And then I literally got home and just fell right asleep. And literally didn't get up for till about 3 or 4 o'clock this morning. So anyway, I had a good meetup with the peeps down there in Sacramento, and also had a nice visit with Zach over in Hawaii. So all's well that ends well. And I made it back to China in one piece. Yeah, it's a miracle. So speaking of which, interesting, China itself seems to be lifting quite appreciably. And I noticed some of my other stocks that I've been rather bullish of late, they seem to be popping up quite a bit. Beautiful bottoming patterns on things like Intel. In fact, in the lounge this morning when I was posting ideas, and really I think this is the best way to use the platform, although I don't know how Fjord's been doing here in my absence. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more progress, but oh well. I actually just like to surf through all the charts on the site and post ideas as I see them popping up. And then did a little bit of review, of course, of the corn stuff. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about that today. But there's, that Intel chart. I've been barking about Intel for a while. Man, it looks really, really good. I think it'd probably have a pretty good run here, so I'm pretty happy I'm long a whole bunch of that. I was a bit surprised, crypto, a little disappointed in crypto, but anyway, it is what it is. So you can see here some of the charts I was posting from the site this morning. Absolutely beautiful daily buy signal there on Intel about a week or so ago while I was traveling. I mean, you could not get a better Adam Eve setup. Absolutely textbook. And interesting how it also came in on Apple Computer. Hmm. Was interested to see the breadth indicator. I'm not quite sure why, but and actually, I just put a unfortunately, actually, I'm a little surprised that nobody from the team is on the site right now. But I wanted to talk to you guys about the crypto breadth this morning, but I came up and I noticed things were not very happy here. So I'm not quite sure what Stuart's doing here, but can't talk site crypto with you today, which is kind of a bummer. But just looking at the breadth of the market in general, that was the chart that I had on here. I actually think the stock market's a lot stronger than what the stock market is leading you to believe. It's just, especially with Trump's nonsense, things get a little bit blow off toppy. So I think we had that kind of blow off toppiness through mid January. Things got a little bit ahead of themselves. And of course, all my conversations with you about January barometer and all that kind of stuff. February was going to be a bit of a tough slog. So I think that's happening on cue. And I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of has to go through its cleanup phase here, right through to I think the Ides of March is also a major eclipse window. So I think we're probably going to be going like sideways till we get through that. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see a really big bull market. It looks like we might have lost a sector or two from this as well. I don't know. Maybe Sword had the engine blow up or something when I was gone. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Anyway, I'll just sort of anecdotally talk about this. But interesting to see, like the breadth of the market, I think, is in sort of correction-y kind of mode right now, which would basically align with that image. And when I pull up the rest of the market, and this is why I think the market's actually stronger than what sort of price is leading you to believe. And if you're a fan of Dow theory, the transports usually actually they kind of telegraph how the economy actually is doing. And I see the transports are actually looking kind of uppy here. And if you want to sort of drill down a little bit more, we can like pull up the actual transports themselves. And there's that fast buy signal. And we can view the whole transport sector as a grid. I don't think it's the airlines that are doing that hot. American, actually, Alaska, really interesting. I flew on Hawaii, and Hawaii and Alaska Airlines are merging, and a fair bit of optimism around the environment. Hawaiian Airlines, they're on Hawaii time, so it's understandable. I had like a 5 hour delay on my flight out of Sacramento. But on balance, it was actually a very enjoyable flight, both there and back. And of course, the women are absolutely beautiful. So always enjoyable with their beautiful flowers in their hairs and stuff like that. So it's very enjoyable. But anyway, wondering whether Alaska is enjoying maybe that merger with Hawaii. And I think they'll do fairly well. Not really any tradable signals here. A million miles away from 200 period moving averages, so I can't really justify buying anything there. But like Delta here with this nasty top, can't touch that. Just leave that alone. But I did notice that the railroads, that looks very WE. And then interesting, Expeditors International of Washington. That I thought was a very, very handsome looking chart. So much so that I could actually justify going and actually hunting a trade here. There is actually the whole chart itself. I mean, gee whiz, what a pretty chart, eh? So, that's $130 down to 100, probably a little bit expensive to go buy the stock. But what I was thinking about is maybe like a synthetic bull call spread or something like that. I'll buy maybe buy the $100 call just so I'm long, and then just write maybe like 50% level, things like that, calls here to collect income down the road. But that's a really, really good looking double bottom. So anyway, that's an idea that I was chewing on here this morning, and posted that in the lounge. Did I just kill the Discord? No, I didn't. Okay. So seeing charts that look like this, actually, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about things like the transports. And like I said, if transports are feeling better, and I will say, when I was on the roads are pretty busy. So I think the economy, especially here in North America, is just humming along, just doing its thing. So anyway, that's one application of the dashboard. Cute little fractal there on land star systems. That look interesting. Well, little fractal. Not really the best signal, but I always like Southwest. I suppose maybe Hawaiian and Alaska will give them a run for their money. Look at this Kirby. Cute little double bottom with a moving average breakout. 200 SMAs all the way up top there. I mean, there's not a hell of a lot of room for movement up here, but nonetheless, W's are W's are W's. Look at that beautiful rider systems. Look at that. That's an outside upside key reversal. I don't really like buying stocks when they're all the way up top here, though, a million miles above the 200 SMA, so probably wouldn't touch that. But damn, that's a powerful candle signal. Uber, I guess Uber's now in the transports. Son of a bitch, eh? Sign of the times. Anyway, you can see the W action off the 200 SMA and then just launched higher here. So they're obviously a lot happier. Might be interesting to look at some of the derivatives like Lyft and there's a couple others. I can't remember. Maybe on the Tuesday show we can look at that together as a group. So I'm feeling fairly optimistic about the market and the economy, and of course, like I said, we're bullish of things like Intel. I did pick up some Microsoft. It was a huge bot formation though, so not really anything specific to do there. It's too bad. I wouldn't mind talking to you guys a bit about crypto on the platform, but like I said, it looks like the indicator for crypto is down right at the moment, which kind of sucks. What I can do though for fun is we can come back to the overview page or breadth here, and we can actually pull up the cryptocurrencies, if I'm not mistaken. Where do I have that? Crypto universe. Let's see what we have in here. How many names are in our universe? That actually looks relatively happy. I like that. That's a good looking turn. I'm seeing a bit of this here in crypto of late. Last updated February 16th. That's pretty recent. I'm not quite sure. It must be just something wrong with that little algo. Our crypto top 30 or something like that. I know Sjord was changing the name of it, and I think maybe accidentally he didn't put the tag on the right thing. That's all. Hopefully that's all it is. Anyway, here is our crypto top 30. Right here, I do see that the universe here has got 867 names. Do we want to go through all 867 names? I don't know. Maybe we'll leave that for now. What might be interesting, let's see if I can pull a rabbit out of my hat here. Crypto top 30. Ooh, do we get something here? Let's see. Hey, there we go. That's looking kind of handsome. And actually, look at that. A lot of names. Attractive, hunting longs. We're down near the bottom end of the range, so that's encouraging. I probably want to stay away from names that have big, ugly M's like that working. I guess there is the Bitcoin chart. I suppose we'll talk about the weekly chart right now. You can still see, this market's still risky, eh? Like I kind of like what I was showing you, like with that rider systems. I don't really like buying stocks and stuff that are a million miles above the 200 SMA like that. If anything, I would almost prefer the price doesn't have to crash, but what I would prefer is that we consolidate, get that 200 SMA up in the neighborhood. So that way you can justify that price. Right now, I still think Bitcoin's a bit risky, but we'll talk about that in a bit. XDG. I'm not quite sure I know what that is. But you can see a lot of these have had big face plants, and I think I actually had a bunch of stink bids and stuff get filled here over the past couple weeks on all my crazy bids. Geez, look at that mantra. I don't know whether that's a crypto or not, but geez, that's moving up. But actually interesting. Litecoin, relatively strong there. Pepe. I guess all these things are getting their butts kicked while Bitcoin's going sideways here. SHIB, even Solana. Look at that, interesting. Solana's come back down to earth. And here's a really good example where, I think Julian, we've even said for the site that he kind of likes using the 200 period moving average for trade location. And we're going to try and get Sjord building the algo so that it hunts these kind of ideas. And then, of course, in our class program, we teach the importance of W's. So here's a pretty good example where you could probably even draw a trend line off of that M there. And if this W here comes in on the other side of that trend line, probably be a half decent entry on Solana. I guess that's also a commentary. A lot of the poop coins, the garbage stuff, market got really beat up after that total Trump coin market manipulation. It was almost like that happened and everybody got absolutely beat up because of the jerk. And like literally crypto's been like, ugh, what the hell did this guy just do to us? That's what it feels like. Call me crazy. Anyway, so if this thing can go and W out here, maybe we can get that shitcoin market rallying again. And also, I don't know whether Pepe's on Solana. I'm sure it's on 20 different coins and exchanges and stuff. But you probably need to see these things all in bull mode. So, and even looking at the moving averages here, all the moving averages down. Actually, that guy's turned up. Interesting, Litecoin's really bucking the overall trend. I don't think that's a crypto, but it might be. If it is, we should probably look at it. But, and then some of these, look at this taunt. Oh boy, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. SUI, I'm not quite sure what that is. But anyway, you can see it clearly the short-term moving average trend is down. And I think this is going to be in correction mode. Probably my hunch is maybe if we're really lucky, Ides of March is some sort of pivot. But I'm actually, and we'll get to it in a bit, when I did up the Bitcoin chart today, actually kind of looks like the market wants to bottom on my birthday. Oh, what a surprise. Anyway, Ethereum, I was really disappointed in hearing Trump's kid, professional market analyst, of course, not investment advice. I'm surprised he didn't put that in his tweets and stuff. Going to the public, $3,000, that's a great place to buy Ethereum. Yeah, you'll do great. And clearly, you can see the moving averages. I mean, we got no reason to be bullish here at all. I was very disappointed when I saw that, but what a surprise. Get used to it. Next 4 years, this is what our life's going to be like. We're going to have to literally fight against orange toupees in the marketplace. When orange toupees say everything's great and everything's awesome, we should be shorting. And when orange toupees are like, oh, freaking out, that's when we want to be buying. And it'd be interesting because they don't really freak out. They'll just go very quiet. Anyway, I don't know whether suns also fall into the orange toupee category, but I think you all understand what I mean. So I don't really see a hell of a lot to be like, oh my God, this is a rip-roaring bull. Ah! Right? And if anything, this is cool your jets. You want to do your nanny nibbles campaigns kind of idea, especially, like names that are finally correcting after we were pounding the table. For God's sakes, be careful here, folks. This has got risk written all over it. Okay, but man, you better make sure that those setups are pristine. And if anything, what I'm doing right now is a lot of names that I wanted to get positions in. For the sake of saving resources, I'm not going to load up all those tabs. Actually, you know what? Maybe I have the crypto tab open here. Let's see. Do I? Actually, I think that's what this is. Yeah. So, ironically enough, something like an Ethereum, actually, I've got a stink bid all the way down here. And what's interesting is if you actually go A to B, C to D, you can see the bot levels actually line up with my stink bids really nicely. So this is an interesting commentary. I don't think Ethereum is nearly as hot as it has been in previous cycles, but it makes sense to me because I think that Solana basically coming along just eating Ethereum's lunch. So really doesn't surprise me. As we said, probably the name that actually is bucking the overall trend that's a bit surprising is how strong Litecoin is. But Brian, there's no way in hell I can come in and buy up here. If anything, I hate to say it, but this is probably a good place to reload on a short. Boom. Hello. Julian's favorite fib. There's Brian's favorite fib. So if you got any kind of fractal fail up here, that'd be great trade location. And probably also too, if we just draw a simple, this trend line hasn't been confirmed yet, but what I do see here, which is interesting, is boom, 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 boom. Is that ungodly? Oh, not quite. So I guess it would be a bat. 51. I think that's a bat. Anyway, so that's a little concerning for the Bulls. But anyway, I don't think there's any way I could justify buying here. And look at this insane volatility. Ay, 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 up and down like a horse drawers. So, I guess probably this is a good time to segue over to the public tweetage and message. I haven't been doing this for a couple weeks. If anything, this is not a bad sort of reason why you should take a break every once in a while. Just give yourself a fresh perspective. And I tried not to get too much into the sort of market chatter talk. In fact, what I pretty much said was, well, past 2 weeks, market really hasn't done anything. But this is the chart that I put out here for Bitcoin this morning. And actually, one thing that really jumped out at me, which is a bit surprising, like I said, this was 2024's consolidation. Of course, remember we had Gucci sweater wearers, all that getting excited up here. Usually we see a bit of a correction following the halving event, and the cycle that I kind of think this looks like is a 16-17 cycle. And actually this dip was quite a bit more. So we did eventually just off of this small range, right following the ETF launch. And I have a feeling that this ETF launch, they do not want to have this ETF print a negative number for unit holders out of the gate. So year over year, there was no way they were going to let this thing go down through this level. Market was in the process of correcting. And then you can see they brought it down, hit 61.8, hit a longer term trend line that I think is actually pretty significant support and resistance level going forward, and 50 grand, big fat round number, and put in a bottom and started to head higher for its next leg. And interestingly enough, if you do a measured move this high down to this low, 33%, so bot is alive. And then one low, two lows, three lows, and woohoo! So bot entry on that trade would be off of that 65,000. That's that 25 right in there. And of course, that was all through that crazy election event. Huge run up, probably too far, too fast. I hate to say it. Also, too, if you think about markets as stair stepping their way higher, we had this very significant parking garage up against a confluence of trend lines. This is a trend line from previous peaks. Actually, that was a trend channel, beg your pardon. In fact, here, why don't we jump over to the live chart here? All right, so you can see we had 3 different trend line resistance. So we had this channel resistance. We had this trend line, which I think was just connecting. Oh, actually, that's an old trend line. Look at that. It's going all the way back to that low there, that pivot low to that pivot high. Look how it was respected through there. And interestingly enough, it's come back into play again there. We had the trend line off of these previous peaks from the 21. That actually is acting as support right now. And then we have this trend channel drawn off of this base. Boom, boom. There's the midpoint. You can see how the market really respected that both through this most recent consolidation and even in previous years. So that looks like it's relatively important. So the top of that channel is that line right there. So a whole bunch of resistance. I mean, the parking garage, it just does. This is why I follow the parking garage concept. Usually that stops price. What I was kind of hoping for, to be honest with you, was kind of rip the Band-Aid off, nice sharp correction, bring it right back down into, appropriate technical levels, put in a nice wide base, and let's get ready for a big rip higher. I tell you, I don't really like the look of this from just purely a technician's perspective. We are consolidating here, and I think the message that I put out in the public broadcast, the tweets and all that stuff, was just simply Not a bad idea to get a fresh perspective, blah, blah, blah. At best, we're consolidating. At worst, we might actually be topping out. And, this is why it's always dangerous to get into the business of predicting what's going to happen, because the market's going to do whatever the hell it wants to do. And 9 times out of 10, looking back in hindsight, nobody predicted anything. Gucci sweater wearers, gee whiz, they made to look like fools. They didn't realize it. They were thinking that this was a really, really good investment. And, to all intents and purposes, if they just held on and did nothing and just prayed to God that everything would work out, it turns out indeed that was the case. But you can see where the buy actually was. They had to sit there for 4 or 5 months doing absolutely nothing and just keep your fingers crossed. I suppose the good part about it is we are still in this, friendly market cycle. And I think that this 4-year Bitcoin cycle, it peaks out there in end of October, beginning of November, 2025. Probably goes on through November. Bitcoin loves to sort of rally up. And, there's a really good tidbit for you. If you ever see Bitcoin or crypto rallying into November, December at its highs, that usually means we're near some sort of cycle pivot. And you better be careful. Notice here into October, November, we based and then exploded higher here. And the problem is you can't chase that now. So you got to have to let this thing settle down, which kind of sucks. If this is a bullish bot, A, B, C, D, then we ideally want to see 3 higher lows. So we have 1 low here, but this was a new high here. So technically, if I'm going to start my count of 3 higher lows, this right here is the first higher low. Which means if this is some sort of bot setup, I go 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, and away we go. So that's what I mean. At best, we're consolidating. And because this was a move to new highs, if we actually go up to new highs, then what that means is that this consolidation pattern up here is still forming, right? We have to make a W for this to actually be a real solid tradable level here. And it, in my opinion, it just isn't yet. So, it's good to see. I would just simply say there's the bottom end of your trading range. There's the top end of your trading range. And we're just flirting back and forth with these levels, but can't really set up a new actual trade here. And ideally, gee whiz, look how far this thing's come. Ideally, you should have been buying back here. I remember doing lots of shows with everybody. Joe from Coinigy. He's actually got settled in nicely into TradingView now. So I'm really proud of Joe. I think he's heading on a really good track. We did our shows in here, and this is where we did our initial purchases for this cycle's, cryptos. Buying like dog money down at like 7 cents. I was hearing people were buying dog money up at like 30 cents and just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. This is a testament to everything that we're trying to teach you at TRI. So we had our get-togethers, and on a regular basis, we had club meeting, and everybody came in and loaded up down here in the bottom of the cycle, crypto winter. All that, you can see the W's that eventually came in. Who in their right mind is buying dog money up here? And sadly, of course, it's the uninformed public that think Alan walks on water. I might argue differently, but of course, we won't touch that. Should try and refrain from those kind of conversations. But the point of the matter here is that's a horrible place to be a buyer. You don't know what you're doing if you are buying dog money after a huge move like that. And of course, you can look on my Twitter feed. We at TRI, of course, we're spoon feeding and selling into these rallies. And the accounts went up substantially. So it was very well done. Excellent job. But you can't buy here. And unfortunately, when you see that kind of move, you just got to leave this crap alone. Notice how we've just now come down into good old Mountain Man, 61.8s, but that's a terrible looking floor. You see what happened last time when you put in that big ugly tail? They sucked the public in. All right, this is the bull. This is the bull. Hey, the Trumps are coming and giving you financial advice to buy. And kaboom. So don't be surprised if you see the exact same. That was this silly Ethereum, right? It was basically the same thing. This is absolutely horrible. And what's worse is Alan knows better. And not a big surprise. You don't hear Alan talking about his dog money at all. Right now, if anything, what you're hearing is he's trying to bastardize this name into this whole government bureaucracy bullshit. And I think what he's trying to do here is he's trying to get this Doge concept into every single U.S. American citizen's brain so that it becomes like, breakfast table conversation. Everybody knows Doge. The only problem that I'm going to have with this, and I'll leave it after I say this, is I used to have an old client of mine who used to say this, and I've watched this repeatedly over history. Almost every single person in history, it follows the same line. And there's an old adage that goes, for those whom the gods wish to destroy, first they make drunk with power. And I do believe Alan is a little bit tipsy right now. So I'll leave it at that. Long and short of it here, nobody at TRI has any business whatsoever being on the buy side of an asset that looks like that right now. And at the very least, can we please get a nice W on other sides of trend lines? This might take a while. I don't have a problem working stink bids down in reload zones and 78.6 and 88.6s, and you can see I've got alerts set, so if this thing does puke out, I'll be more than happy to just sort of back the truck up and start accumulating again, Nanny Nibble style. I mean, anybody who's at TRI knows exactly how I operate and how I'm trying to teach all of you how to operate. But here, no, there's absolutely nothing for a guy like me to do here. So just FYI on that note. So back to our original conversation, good old Bitcoin. If we're lucky, this thing is just going to muddle along sideways here. And if anything, that kind of meets this kind of thinking. I will tell you, though, this is a log scale chart. And, we are in our crypto summer here. This is feeling more and more out of reach, to be perfectly honest with you. But having said that, one thing I've learned over the years is don't fight Bitcoin here. It is still almost the only crypto that I know of that is a proof of work asset, i.e., if you have hyperinflation, if you have a massive run up in the money supply and the money printing, which of course hasn't stopped at all, then Bitcoin has to reflect that. So I do think that this is still valid. What I'm thinking, though, and this will go back to this conversation, is if we do a correction very similar to last year, hopefully you can see this. It might be a bit hard to see this. So this was, oh, that didn't do any better. Let's try and make it so you can see it like that. All right, so this was last year's correction. And it took, from March all the way to October, the end of October, a fairly long period, almost 6 months. Do we do something similar along those lines? And I do like the idea that, we're going to come into the fall and all fucking hell could break loose here. Something is brewing. Also, too, Tom Lee has said repeatedly, I've heard him say at least 2 or 3 times, that he really likes the idea that Bitcoin should probably trade back somewhere between 60 and 70 grand, somewhere in that window, before the launch higher here. But what I find interesting about this is if we measure that sort of 6-month consolidation, then we do okay, it's fine. This is where the market broke out. And obviously it's making new highs. That you can't buy that. But, where did the actual bottom come in? Well, the actual bottom came in here. And how long was that? Well, that's this arrow here from there back to there. And if you take that same study and project it off of that high back down to this, the same distance, right? That's that arrow right there, same size. Guess where that is projecting that the low of this correction should come in? Oh, it's that damn Liz's birthday. I swear that Liz is always causing trouble. there's her birthday right there. It's not Chris's fault. It's Liz's fault this year. Now I've settled my bet with you. My hands are clean. I can pick on you all I want, Liz. You're toast. Anyway, I was down there in Sacramento with her and hubby, and we were chatting about, and it's remarkable how the similarities in personal characteristics. She said, I'm kind of a penny pincher. Me too. Well, I kind of don't like spending money. Me too. Well, I'm kind of frugal. Me too. So maybe it's not so much being a tourist. Maybe it's being born on the damn May 11th. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I did find it fascinating. Now, history never repeats itself. They say it often rhymes. But I did find it awfully coincidental that we know that, around Brian's birthday is usually kind of a crappy time in the market. And the studies, and unfortunately you can't really see it that well, but the studies here, that's the same distance to the breakout, which I like the idea that this market's going to break out into the fall and then just go absolutely crazy into its cycle peak. And if we measure back from this last breakout to where the ultimate bottom was, that ultimate bottom, wherever the hell that arrow is, there it is right there, comes in right on my birthday. Go figure. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I do think that this would be like a conservative projection. And usually the rule is that, this is an A, B, C, D. You can see that rally there to the top of the parking garage did hit that bought objective. So technically that setup is done, right? We said the bought entry was there off of 64, 65, and the target there was 108, 109. So that's done. Sometimes though, these AB equals CDs, sometimes they are alt ABCDs. Actually, Liz and Jim are working on this right now in the harmonics program. So they can go up to 127s, and sometimes they can go all the way up to 1.618. So this would be, I think, a conservative, this is just a trader's kind of market. And, I hate to say it, considering that we did bottom at 15, then that 140, 150, that would be 10x off of that low for this entire cycle. Frankly speaking, 10x is pretty darn impressive. I don't know. This is the issue with like getting too specific about like predicting what's going to happen. I also do like the idea that this is nothing more than a midpoint consolidation, and we ultimately have to top out at like 200,000 or 300,000. This is, and actually interesting enough, this is basically what Tom Lee is actually projecting, is that he likes that 250,000 upside objective. I don't know. I think probably the top comes in somewhere between that, say 150 and 250. And I've told everybody that if we do get this event here, I will sell my Bitcoins and I will go buy Liam his house, which I promised to do. And I will probably head off into the sunset. And actually, I have a really sweet piece of land in Hawaii that I'm really thinking about buying, and maybe just go and build a nice little trading retreat with Brian out there in Hawaii. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And if anything, what I've often, well, not what I've often, what I'm thinking right now is, if you guys want me to continue working with you in the public and stuff like this, you probably don't want this scenario to happen, because I've probably had enough of doing all this crypto focused effort and stuff like that, and YouTube videos and all that stuff. And it's about time I write my book, and it's probably going to take a year or two for me to write my book. Once we hit this crypto winter, all this sort of whatever bullishness I have of this season is all on hold. It's just really a question of, do I have enough money to go buy Liam his house and just totally hang up my public appearance sort of thing, or do we continue on? And if this scenario happens where we top out at 150 or so US, then that's not quite enough to buy Liam his house, and so I am not given permission to retire just yet. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, so the point, I guess, just for the short term is right now consolidation. I mean, one reason why I use these moving averages that I do, you can see how 13 EMA on the weekly charts is acting as excellent support. If and when we lose this 13 EMA, you can see 30 SMA is down in Mr. Lee's sort of target window. And I do like a pullback to test this midpoint of this channel, because that would give us the Wyckoff check. It would also clean up and set up like technically appropriate levels and actually set up that nice clean momentum trade to actually go and maybe even think about buying options or something on the ETFs when this next buy signal comes in. Right here, I can't do anything. Still in the parking garage, just made a new high, made one low, and unfortunately, and this is sort of half of the reason why I'm as sort of cautious as I am right now. You can clearly see RSI is in divergence. We all know that when RSI is in divergence, certain individuals, won't name names, start coming out and saying, oh, buy Bitcoin, you'll do great, you'll always make money. I mean, that's got trouble written all over it. Willie is officially stupidly overbought, so we really shouldn't be a buyer while that happens. Notice what happened. Gucci sweater wearers, that wasn't a very good time to be a buyer. You had to wait for over here. And MACD itself is also in divergence. It's not really that clean of a divergence, but all of my price momentum oscillators are all oscillating to the downside here. I got to start seeing some W's coming in here for me to get bullish. And then lastly, when we study volume, this last push up here into Mr. Trump's inauguration was on paltry volume. So at best, if we're a bull, we need to see that volume impetus signal. So it's good to see this high here in volume is slightly higher than this high. I don't know whether you can see that or not. If this does actually go and make a W here, then we'll start getting impetus signals that the bull is back. But what I really want to see is, can I start seeing some W's come in here, please? And I really don't like to see that Willie is so stupid right now. That's got trouble written all over it. So, yeah, there's your Bitcoin story. And unfortunately, that's a lot of crypto right now. So, like, if we look at the total market cap, this is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, I mean, we'll take a quick boo at Ethereum. I think I showed you before. I didn't really see anything to get too excited about there. And I think, you know, keep it really simple. If you're just watching this and you don't really know what you're doing in crypto, wait for a W on the other side of this trend line. It's just that simple. All this crap here, this is just all noise. And if this is indeed a big honkin' A to B and C to D, then that means, you know, there's the counter trend rally. That means we got to come down into here. So I for now, I would just say, really simply put, we're stuck in this channel. And I don't see any reason to fight this. So, and that's, I can absolutely guarantee you, this is not what good looking, sustainable, healthy bottoms look like. They don't look like this. So that looks concerning to me. And as I said, if you get actually a nice solid move through this 25 level, you can see up, down, up. We start waffling and start emming out and lose this 25, then that bot setup comes in, and I think it could be a very quick dump down into levels. And the problem here is that we have a really, really big celestial event coming up here. They've got like eclipses. And maybe in the next week or two, we'll have Cole come in and talk to the community about the significance of these eclipses. There's a whole bunch of planetary transitions and stuff coming through this eclipse window. I did notice it was a full moon. I think it's today, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to have some funny business in here. But I am personally looking for the entire market, the stock market, everything to pivot through that Ides of March. There's also a debt ceiling debate, budget, U.S. government. Usually they fuck around through all that. So this is the window that I'm thinking that there needs to be some sort of panic capitulation dump in the broader market. And really, I don't think there's anything to do here right now at all, which kind of sucks because I know you guys are all like, well, no, we want to buy. Crypto's a bull. Just tell us what's a bull. What's a bull? And right now what I'm saying is nothing's a bull. If anything, it's just a lot of cleanup. I mean, you saw this is the great part about using something simple like the TRI breadth indicator. Um, Over here, we even we have it kind of cheeky way. I'm not quite sure what happened to Sjord's crypto page. Unfortunately, I think it's just a function of I lost my train of thought now. If we look at the stock market itself and that breadth, I think the transports. Like I said, I think they're saying that things aren't as bad could be, and we're not getting that divergence where you have like the Dow going to new highs, but the transport's not. That's very dangerous. But you can see here, everything's in consolidation mode, including the commodities, the bonds. There's the U.S. market. I think this is Europe, but I don't know whether. Oh yeah, Europe's still updating. Even China. I mean, this isn't an image of a rip roaring bull market. And then actually, crypto didn't actually look too bad there, though. So that was kind of interesting. Do we have it over here? Yeah. So we've lifted. We got a little bit sort of panicky there. I think that was. On that Ethereum, you really saw it. I don't know whether we saw it so much on Bitcoin, but that was this big dump, and you see it on a lot of these names. Actually, somebody over there asked me to look at XMR, so we could probably do the same thing there. Where is XMR? I know you're on here somewhere. That's Monero, isn't it? Actually, no, I don't think I have Monero. XMR. Oops. R. Crypto XMR. There you go. Let's do it on Kraken. There you go. Oh, actually, it's not bad looking. Can't buy that there, unfortunately. Ooh, nice base. What do you think the odds are? That's a 2.618 off of this base. That's probably pretty good. Boom. Nailed it. So that's what I think's going on with Cripple, right? No, this is Monero, not Cripple. Beg your pardon. Privacy coin. I wonder if it's still privacy. I don't know. If we look at all the indicators, well, let's just hit the button and see what happens. Boosh. We're gonna put pivots and stuff away. We don't need that now. All right. Well, he's not stupid yet, so still has more room to run. Getting a bit of a divergence here, though, in momentum indicators. That's a bit bothersome. This push up here has not broken through these highs, so a bit suspect. Volume looks a little suspicious here. This pump back up here against this 2.618 saw almost no volume. RSI kind of meh. Interesting. Bollinger Band squeezing interestingly here, right? So this would probably catch somebody like Sjord's attention. No real structural signals here. If anything, unfortunately, I have kind of a cascading lower highs and lower lows there on RSI. So probably watch for some sort of petering out here. And then if you start getting any kind of market structural signals in RSI against these highs and this downtrend line, that could be trouble. And you can see it's just V tops and V tops. So it's not too much to get concerned about. V bottoms. So to me, this looks like just a whole bunch of back and forth. If you do actually get a structural signal there in RSI, though, that could be trouble. So can't really be a buyer here. As I said a moment ago, there's your base. If you really did want to buy this thing, probably reload zones right in there. And, traders got to trade. That clearly is your bottom right down in there, right? You can see there's the reload zone. Brian's favorite fib, stink bids down against that would have served you well. Then W's within W's, then, moving average crosses. You really wanted to a bit like sharpshooter trade entries, mountain man following the market tag. That's like your ICT market structure guy, market structure shift. I love that mountain man tag following the market structure shift. I think that sets up that kind of rally. How you got in here, up to you, obviously. But coming in on the buy side way up here, nah, I don't think so. You suppose this W here, you could probably do some chaos theory off of that. And let's go boom. All right, so there's 2.618 off of that rally. Yeah, nothing really to get me excited here. Yeah, I would just leave it at that. You're way, way too late to be a buyer. You should have been a buyer down in here. Then maybe again, off of this consolidation, right? Gucci sweater wearer consolidation heading into the election. If we go reload zone, boom, right down in there. That was the election. That actually was the post-election event. So that probably set up a pretty sweet sort of sharpshooter trader trade kind of idea against all these lows. But can't do anything there, right? Just got to leave it alone. And then what worries me about names like this is interesting. All right, that's an interesting base there. I would say, especially into the Ides of March. Yeah, okay, so this makes even more sense now. So you can see 2.618 and Julian's 1.618. And then if we go back up against these highs, what do you think the odds are? This is basically 38.2 of the range, probably. Oh, come on, you. There. What time is it? Oh, shit, I got to get going. All right, so there to there, and boom. Yep, there you go. So 257.45 and into that 1.618 up against those highs. I would say that that's actually your technical objective. And actually that 4669 lines up nicely against those highs. So I couldn't buy that there. And if anything, oh boy, look at all the divs starting to form. So, yeah, I mean, there's not actually much else to say here. Too late to buy, probably too early to short. Hopefully you're on a risk-free trade right now, especially if the bottoms come in here at like 120. There's nice little W down there, 125. Nice pop up here. Probably the big fat round number, $250. That's probably a magnet. Hopefully, hope. You're getting some fills on sell halves on doubles and stuff into the spring here. And establishing risk-free trades. That's how I would look at that. And if I wanted to buy it, I would probably draw a reload zone off the entire range and look for some sort of pullback down against the POC, 61.8, 78.6 value low. A test of all these lows down in here, that would be sort of Brian cheap-ass buying location. If this is going to bot and it becomes like a trend continuation, and you get some sort of consolidation back to at least 33%, but no more than 66. So could be anywhere in here. And that'll set up your trend continuation. But long and short of it here, as I've said 2 or 3 times, couldn't really be a buyer here. So anyway, okay, that's enough of that. Okay, I wanted to pop on over to the AMA document. I think I've given you a pretty good idea what I think with Bitcoin. I'm looking for consolidation. I don't see this changing in the next week or two. So probably the next videos over the next little while just be like, all right, how does this consolidation look like to take us forward? So I think that's about it we need to say there. And then, the rest of the crypto market, big fat M working. I would like to see some sort of W. Nice to see the indicators are firming up here, but I don't see any W's here yet. So more of that. We need to consolidate. Give me a W in price action. Let's get these moving averages back bullish again. And then we can start talking about a bull. For now, stink bid time, nanny nibbles, little old ladies, all that kind of fun stuff, planting flowers. But other than that, nothing else to do. All right, now the AMA document. I know that Josh said that there was one specific question about hedging. I think level 1ers are doing risk management right now. So I did want to speak to that. And then the next question, I think there was probably 1 or 2 questions that were posted while I was gone. So maybe we should speak to that as well. So let's see what we got here. This will take a minute to load. And I have to be out of here in 25 minutes. Should be enough time. while that loads, I'm going to blow my schnoz. And since I'm not on camera, all I got to do is just hit the mute button. And then that way, you're not painfully painful. All right, I'll be right back. All right, did this thing load yet? Hey, there we go. All right, so let's see what we got here. Hi, Brian. I saw the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, being shared in the lounge and was wondering if you have read it and thoughts on it. Yeah. Basically, this book is in line with, and never a broadcast without Brian barking about the bankster crooks and how they have taken over our society and turned us all into slaves. So, and actually, I was even making direct reference. I was trying to school some people down in Oregon. I had the privilege of staying on the Oregon coast overnight. Thank you very much. You know who you are, so I guess we don't need to name names. Putting me up in where the hell was I? Rockaway Beach. Anyway, so if you do want to learn about the money system, and the great part about this video, yeah, it's like 3-4 hours long, but it's like literally the history of money going all the way back to good old JC's days and his hatred of the money changers. So long and short of it here is to answering to your question, Mr. Jekyll Island. And I would just simply say, a video, video that speaks to, this is, we'll just put the link. Keep it simple, and I'll say yes, am a fan of the author, and sadly, it is very true, and a brutal commentary on central bankster crooks taking over our society. And just that simple. In 1913, with the creation of the U.S., quote, federal, and of course, if you know the Jekyll Island commentary, then you know Reserve Board. You know what a load of horseshit this federal reference is. And, you know, that video, the Money Masters video, actually, why don't we even go that? They will go into, this video will go into great detail. I think we'll go Money Masters and go apply. Yay, there we go. This video will go into great detail over this. So hopefully that speaks to your question. But yeah, this is actually a very sad, real commentary on our society and who controls the system, which really sucks. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, 216. Hi, Brian. As this crappy sideways market trudges along, I hear more and more people saying that we have either passed the top or near the top for BTC. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. One of those people seems to be Julian. Okay. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. So obviously you two have different opinions. Yeah. If anything, this is the good part about us not being the Soviet Union, not being the CCP, not being Justin Trudeau's ideal Canada. We actually have choice and we have the freedom to have opinions. And that's what makes a marketplace, right? Somebody's bullish, somebody's bearish. I buy, you sell. That's what makes a market. And that's what I love about our Western civilization. Sure hope it sticks around. So, yeah. For reasons that are tied to my own investments, I am hoping that your scenario plays out. Okay, not slightly biased, now are you? And it seems like you feel like 240K in 2025 is not unrealistic. Well, I did find it interesting that good old Tom Lee's actually in camp with me. He likes 250 grand as well. And really, all this is sadly, I mean, oh man, I went down. Holy, you thought California was expensive? Go spend a week in Hawaii. Holy crap on a stick. That's an expensive place. So, but anyway, if we have more of this money printing and more of this hyperinflation, and frankly speaking, I don't think Donald Trump's going to change any of that, then really 240K, it's not really like it's such a great Bitcoin price. It's the fact that all these fiat currencies just keep getting worth less and less and less and less. I don't see any change in that. Of course, it doesn't really matter what I hope for. Well, that's good. Try and have that attitude in life, because I tell you, if you get hell bent sent on a market going absolutely crazy parabolic, the odds are it won't happen. It's like, like we always say, you can't push a chain. So, but could you go over the reasons that you have come to a different conclusion than Julian? I can't really comment on Julian. He is his own person. All I can say is what I'm thinking is going to happen, and really, this is just nothing more than just a replication of the crypto summer season and what we saw through the last Trump presidency, and a very similar price pattern behavior, right? So bottom, rally, peak, bottom, rally, peak. That's all it is. We are in the crypto summer. And if anything, the irony of all this is that the more people turn bearish now, the more I do believe that some sort of insane blow off top comes down the road. When I get worried is when the public, of course, and good old Gucci sweater wearers and all that, for recent reference, they all start coming out and saying, "Oh, you'll make $1 million in Bitcoin. It's easy. Anybody can do it. Buy my course. This is how you write BTC on a whiteboard, and this is how you circle it. And there you go, $5,000. Thank you very much. Have a nice day." I don't hear any of that kind of talk now. So if anything, that leads me to believe that there's still one more push higher. Having said that, I don't like how the momentum indicators here are kind of wishy-washy, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a nice sort of cleanup technical period that we have to go through here right now. And you can see how long this cleanup period took. So there is the peak in MACD, and there is the bottom. Where MACD and momentum actually turned around, started heading higher. So if we do the same thing, there is the peak and there's the bottom. And like we said, probably looking for somewhere around the middle of May to paint that sort of ultimate panic capitulation bottom. So, this is ideal scenario, but my hunch is we're probably going to do something that looks like that. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here. And if anything, if the market does actually sort of swoon here, we got the Ides of March we have to get through. I wouldn't be surprised this muddles along here. I don't know whether we have to come back this deep. This correction here was 61.8 of this range here. So that's why I have that marked. It's also 38.2 of this entire range. Does it have to do that? No. I mean, it could just sit here and just play with these lows, kind of like what we did here. And keep in mind, this one spiked down to 49. It was like one candle and then zing right back up. So whatever kind of correction that does happen down into the 30 SMA here, I would not be surprised if it is some sort of crazy, in 2 weeks, bang, bang, the price completely collapses from basically the top of the range all the way down to the bottom, 61.8, and that's it for the correction. So it's almost like, we go up here, maybe muddle, and then kaboosh, and then we start the whole climbing the wall of worry. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen here. And it's just one's opinion, right? If, Julian's entitled to his opinion, Brian's entitled to his opinion, you're entitled to your opinion. What I would say is, if you're going to actually risk your hard-earned money in the market, trade your setups, right? And the setup is actually what says that, well, I'm long from this point and I'm short from that point, and my stop is here and my take profit level is here. And when it comes to actually entering and where you're going to risk to and where you're going to take profits, that all is incredibly mechanical, and leave your opinion out of that entire conversation. So that's my advice to you, if I can give you any advice. Additional question. Right. Would you sell off now to rebuy during consolidations? No, I don't like this approach. I really, really dislike people who arbitrarily, try to swing trade the market based on their opinions. Because the opinion, unfortunately, is often going to get you in trouble. Now, if you had said something like, well, Brian, I traded the bot and I went long at 63,000 and the take profit level was at 109,000 or whatever the hell this bot objective was. Is it a good idea to take profits at bot technical objectives? And I would say, yes, that's following the setup. And if you had said, well, Brian, I'm trading this, so now, since I just took profits, got out, I would like to get back in, well, my advice to you is hunt a setup here. Since I don't have any setups, there's nothing really for me to do. And I would just have to simply wait for the next time I see 3 higher lows that set up off of, pre-vetted setups levels like the bot. You don't necessarily have to trade the bot, but what I would strongly suggest you do is remove the I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen, and change it to, well, I trade this setup. It works 60 to 70% of the time. And this setup is telling me to buy at this level, and it's telling me to have my stop at this level, and it's telling me to take profits at that level. And that's how I would prefer you to approach the market. So I hope that speaks to that question. I mean, very direct. If you were trading Bitcoins, now keep in mind, if you're like I'm a little old lady, well, this is actually completely out of the question. You should have been buying Bitcoins when it was appropriate for little old ladies. Reload zones at bottom ends of ranges. You should be selling halves on doubles. And, if you bought just anywhere here, let's say just randomly, boom, I'm long from 20 Gs. Well, at 40 Gs, you let half go. At 80 Gs, you let another half go. And at 160 Gs, you got your next order. And, just slow and steady wins the race. Don't have an opinion. So anyway, I hope that helps answer your question. And really, I think, whoever asked this question, I guess Danielle here asked, it's impossible for someone just standing on the sidelines to say, Danielle, this is what I think you ought to do. Because really what we have to do is figure out what type of investor you are. If you're in the education plan, program, do you have your trading plan? What kind of trader are you? Are you the little old lady? And I gave you the answer what little old ladies would be doing here. Are you a swing trader? You trade setups. All right, bot objective was hit. Did you take profits at the bot objective level? If you didn't, why didn't you? So, all right. Well, it looks like he's got his answer. All right. I am a noob. All right. So, yeah, if you're a newbie, then for starters, when you're in the education program, you're supposed to put your money away. And you're supposed to be learning the process. So anyway, we can talk more about this. Maybe put some more thoughts on here. Do you even have a trading plan? Are you swing? It sounds like you're swing trading and you want to swing trade, but I don't know whether that's your plan. right? I am mostly a buy and holder. Okay, well, so I hate to say it, no offense, but buy and holders, right? Here was the bottom over here. Coming in over here, you're coming awfully late to this party. So that's a little bit bothersome. And remember when we talked about things like dog money? Oh boy, very late. And I hate to say it, something like XMR. I mean, buy and holders, you were supposed to be buying during crypto winter. Not, and really, crypto winter was over here. I mean, this is a one hell of a base here, but not up here. If anything, now you got to be drawing your reload zones. And ironically enough, reload zone on this kind of name probably gets you thinking about being buying if we revisit this wild base down here. So, yeah, if you're buy and hold, then I really don't think it's a good idea to chase. And, I love the sell half on a double strategy because it takes the stress of being a buy and holder out of the equation. You know what a good example? I'm long the XLC. So I did this for my retirement plan. Communication Services ETF. I don't know. Do you see any letters of the alphabet that Beamish guy likes to get all excited about? I mean, hopefully you look at this and go, I see exactly where Brian's long. And that would be right here. Right? Nice big W. So I'm long here. And now looking at this, and I just got back to this. Oh, what a treat. You see that says 52 and change. Should I be doing something here now that it's $105? So this kind of strategy makes it really easy. Somebody who had bought this and the answer I'm looking for is, yeah, Brian, you're going to be selling half on a double, which establishes a risk-free trade for the rest of your life. Right? So I should be selling half on a double there, and it takes away out of the whole equation. I'm saving for my retirement plan. Do I buy here more? Do I buy more? For fuck's sake, no. But do I sell here? Do I take all profits? No, I'm not going to take all profits. But if I can get that sell half on a double, establish a risk-free trade, put the original capital back on the sidelines and hunt for another idea. Now I have no risk on this whatsoever for the rest of my days. Leave it in the retirement account. It might be 100x at this, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But at the same time, too, maybe it does something like that. And I'm not stressed about it because this is a risk-free trade. So that's where that sort of sell half on a double, buy weekly W's. You should be on the sell side here, not the buy side. So that's the way that I approach the market. And Bitcoin, I don't see any difference. This is the same logic. If you did accumulate back in reload zones where you were supposed to, you should be paying yourself for your efforts up top here. And then, of course, if you swung trade this, that setup level was hit. I don't think you can argue with that. And right now, we're just consolidating. And hopefully, we have one more leg to take us higher into next fall. All right. Wow. Sure, Brian. Brian hasn't forgotten how to overtalk this stuff, eh? All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Number 2, also in the level 1 class, Josh touched on the idea that it would be possible to buy a put that would act as insurance for about 6% of the trade. Well, that's not a bad idea. Does this really reduce all risk of the trade? Well, no, it'll reduce the risk down to 6% of the portfolio insurance cost if it goes the wrong way. So like if it costs you 6% to buy your insurance policy, and the insurance policy expires worthless, then you lost 6%. That's your risk. And if so, why doesn't everybody do that? Keep in mind, most people in the market, especially crypto, they haven't got a fucking clue what an option is. And most of the option industry would actually prefer it that way. Most of the public that are dealing with options, they're working with a professional financial advisor, and the professional, especially things like bull call spreads and stuff like that, or there are like seasoned veterans in the market. So you're not a seasoned veteran. That's why I don't really teach things like trading options until we get near the very end of your education program with TRI. And I do like the idea of buying insurance, but keep in mind, insurance is going to be very expensive. And especially with such a volatile asset. I mean, keep in mind, this silly asset has gone up, from 15 to over 100. That's pretty much like almost a 10x in a year or two. So the market's going to make you pay substantially for insurance. Probably the easiest thing for you to do, which should be easier than trying to buy options in crypto itself, is to obviously, and this is exactly what he wants, is if you're going to hedge through something like Mr. Fink's ETF. So you can now buy options on IBIT. So my hunch here is actually we could probably make a pretty good living out of trading the options on IBIT as our proxy in the crypto space. Keep in mind, this asset now has officially been securitized. And you can kind of see what I'm thinking. I just drew this up here, but we have traded 33%. Interestingly enough, the IBIT did not make a new high there, right? 61.75 was the high here. 61.08 is the high here. So technically, this is actually forming that one higher low, two higher lows. You can see where the bot objective is. And I like this thinking that there should be one more wave higher here in this. And that's all that is that's just Brian's commentary, right? So we are thinking that the peak should be somewhere around October, November. Actually, let's go like this. So I actually like, and as I told you earlier, sometimes these can be AB equals CDs, which would be just, what is this? Oh, no. Okay, so that would just be, right. What the heck have I done here? Something's not right. We'll go there to there. We'll go there to there. Then we'll clone that. We'll go there. I must have done this off like a log scale or something earlier. Boom. And boom. And boom. All right. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Yep. Okay. Go. Boom. There we go. All right. So, according to, and actually interesting, look how it's setting up right off of that level, eh? So, according to Mr. Fink, interestingly enough, the bot objective on this IBIT lines up nicely with that trend line tag right into that window there. So that would be the point, especially, these seasonalities, 4-year Bitcoin cycles and stuff. This would be the point over here where I'd be really interested in buying the put. I don't necessarily really like the trade right here. Having said that, could we go through a period here like I had shown you off the Bitcoin chart where we consolidate through sort of the spring and then set up some sort of final push higher here? I do like that kind of scenario. And I might even argue, because this is a lower high, that actually is your prevailing potential trend line now. It's not confirmed. But I maybe even say something like that. There is your trading range right now. Actually, that's not bad, eh? So I do like something along these lines. And then a push into the fall. And I would use something like an ETF here as your option proxy. The only reason why I say that is you can go to Deribit, and Deribit's really the only sort of crypto exchange that I notice has options. And their options are European style, which means they're very unflexible. They don't move the same way as American style options. They don't give you nearly as much flexibility. Of course, if you're just playing in the Bitcoin space, then I suppose you don't really have much choice. And, you can go do the pricing of the Deribit options. Maybe we'll do that in tomorrow's site video or something along those lines. But this is what I would be using. I don't necessarily think that that's actually such a great trade setup here right now. I think that this is going to be consolidating in here versus moving higher in earnest. I suppose you could argue when we were up like candle body highs, you could have been sharpshooting options trades in here to lock in. against those highs. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. I don't know about here. You're kind of almost like middle of the range, eh? That's the low end of the range. This is technically an outside upside key reversal, which is a very, very bullish price action. So I really don't think that the market's going to go through here in earnest, or it's just going to F around with these levels. That's my hunch. So my, for whatever it's worth, my input here is you could buy that 6% cost insurance policy. And like I said, maybe tomorrow's video will pull up some options specifically. What does that insurance policy look like? But considering the crypto seasonality, I don't think this is a good place to lock in your hedge. My hunch here is if you do go lock that in, this is just my opinion, it'll probably work for you a little while. And you're going to be like, oh, do I sell now? Do I sell now? Do I sell now? And I wouldn't really try and time that. But if you do see W start coming in here and you see all the momentum indicators all start to turn up, then maybe it's time to salvage, get into salvaging time for your option. I'm not really a fan of going and loading up on puts right now. But insurance policy, yeah, I could see it. Especially, keep in mind, like on this would be the options would be 100 shares. So 100 shares at $55. We're talking $5,500 each option. If you bought the at the money option, what is that premium? And then, you have to do a multiple. Okay, one option is $5,500. Have to figure out what the beta is of this thing relative to Bitcoin itself. It's probably pretty close. And then how many Bitcoins are you dealing with, right? So if you have like one Bitcoin, that's 100 Gs. So if one option is 5,500, that means you got to buy 20 options to hedge out that Bitcoin exposure. So understand how that works. That could be a little tricky for you as well. If anything on the AMA document, let's do a little bit of follow-up here. Yes, that sounds like an appropriate insurance policy. And if anything, let's actually, like I said, in tomorrow or maybe Wednesday's video, let's go through and actually take a look at some of the options prices, maybe even as a follow-up exercise here for you, Danielle, maybe go and pull down that IBIT options chain, make my life a little easier, and we can speak to like maybe the 1-year option, see how much that insurance policy is going to cost you. All right, Joe asks here, and what time is it? I got 8 minutes left. How would you actually collect on your put option? Would you have to wait for a full year like you have in this example of purchasing a 1-year option? And wouldn't it mean if you use this, you would never lose money in crypto? Obviously, that is not the case, but why? All right, so simple comment there is options trade in the marketplace on a day-to-day basis based on the perception of whether they are going to be in the money, at the money, out of the money at expiry. So if they're in the money, then they need to reflect what that in the money value is worth. But options do have a time premium. So sometimes if you buy like a year's bit of time, you're going to pay a premium for just that time value. And then if the option goes in the money, because if you had to pay a ton of time value, you might actually end up losing money, even though the option actually goes in the money. So it's a little tricky here. So this isn't as easy as wouldn't you make money all the time and never lose money? Because it's a trade-off, the old adage, time equals money. Now, very simply put, if we go to, and this is actually a really important difference between American-style options and European-style options. So if they trade on the Chicago Board Options Exchange, then these will be American style options. And you see, like I said, the in the money options like the calls, the $50 call here, the ETF right here is 55. You notice they're sitting midpoint 505, or basically that 50. Actually, that's the $50.50. Well, we just do the 51, right? 51. 55.33 minus 51 is $4.33, and you see that the market's basically $4.55. So the in the money option is just basically going to be the difference between what the current market price is and what your strike price is. And these options here actually expire pretty soon, next week. So there isn't much time value on these things. And you can see they're basically trading at what we call intrinsic value. And you notice there's 32 contracts. Somebody went and paid, $5.44 for these things in the open marketplace. So if your option is in the money, you bought the hedge, it's has intrinsic value, what we call that in the money value, then there will be people buying and selling these options on a daily basis for basically what intrinsic value is. So to answer your question directly, you would just simply go into the marketplace and sell the option, and it should have whatever the intrinsic value is of the option. It should have that option, that price, and you should be able to capture that. And you can see, in fact, there has to be a quote unquote market maker for every single one of these options. Doesn't mean he's going to give you a good price, but it does mean that if you absolutely must sell, there will be a guy that will guarantee a bid for you. And you can see some of these options are extremely active. The 55s, which are 33 cents in the money, you can see they're actually trading at $1.36. So there's a good example where really they only have 33 cents of intrinsic value, but there's a bit of an extra premium there. Why? Well, because the market thinks that there's a good chance there could be $1.39 of intrinsic value. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a good buy or good sell, but what it does mean is that this is a very active contract and people are placing bets on a daily basis. And in this case, last trading day, it traded 10,000 contracts. If you were long this thing and you wanted to get out of it, you wanted to liquidate, you can hit the bid. So very, very liquid markets. You can get in and out of these things really easily. Now, this is exchange traded fund. The options, this is very liquid. If you're thinking about just Bitcoin itself, then you have to do things like Deribit. Don't have enough time here in this conversation, but just give me a follow-up, Joe. If you want me to go and do Deribit options because you're not on exchanges, we can take a look at that tomorrow, and it'll be, I guess, a follow-up to Danielle's question here as well. All right, so can you give me some feedback on that? All right, number 4 says, Jimmy, is there any way of hedging against BTC investing in a portfolio? Well, I just gave you the answer to the question. You can use exchange traded funds now very easily. Hell, you can figure out what the beta is, and probably on here you can even get the beta on this. I can't remember which one it is. I mean, they have volatility in the Greeks and all this, but I'm sure we probably have beta on here somewhere. But you can actually get the beta of these things, and then it's all right. These are all the Greeks. I don't see beta on here. And it would be just simply a function of where is the beta listed on all these. It's somewhere on this page, and by all means, we could go through and get the beta for what these various different ETFs are relative to Bitcoin. On sites like TradingView, it probably has it listed somewhere in here. And then it's just simply a question of math. Just like in the education program, we had just assumed your portfolio had a beta of 1-to-1 with the S&P 500. And so we were going to go and buy options based on the beta there. That was the example that's taught in the risk management module. Now that these ETFs are up, find the beta for this ETF relative to Bitcoin. And then it's just a question of multiplying the number of contracts that you're going to have to do on this IBIT times the beta, right? And then that'll give you the sort of the denominator that you need to use. So the answer to that question actually is really yes, there is. It's pretty straightforward. All right, number 5, and oh boy, look at all this crazy stuff. I've got 1 minute left, so we'll just wind up with this. I don't know whether I could really speak to everything here, but we'll just at least acknowledge the question, and maybe we'll talk about this in the site video tomorrow. Could you comment on this analysis? On-chain indicator analysis. The same on-chain metric that predicted the previous bear market bottom are now signaling a potential end to the bull market. Okay. Short-term holders are increasing, while long-term holders are decreasing, indicating that dumb money is entering while smart money is exiting. Historically, a bearish sign. Yeah, it's not outlandish statement. Whale behavior. Entities holding over 1,000 BTC have started selling, a pattern that previously signaled the latter stages of a bull run. However, the decline in whale holdings is not yet severe enough to confirm the absolute end of the bull market. All right. Nice and vague enough not to trigger a lawsuit. Timing of the market cycle. Historically, whale distribution starts before the bull market peak and accelerates towards the top. Yeah, sounds about right. Selling when they're yelling. And really, I guess to this kind of comment, or this one here, really your Gucci sweater wearers, right there. And, unfortunately, the Trump's coming in and actually telling you to buy or sell crypto. That is a great sort of public is doing something kind of market sentiment. Because keep in mind, the Trumps, they are not professional investors. Historically, whale distribution starts. Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree with that. There's nothing wrong with that. While the bull market is in the final phase, it is not necessarily over yet. Yeah, okay. Last weeks of the bull market tend to be the strongest, meaning that there could still be explosive price action before the full market reversal. Yep, I agree with that. The bull market is nearing its end. So as soon as they say nearing, they're off the hook. Because what exactly is nearing? That's very arbitrary. But there could still be significant gains in the coming weeks to months. Okay. Again, nice and vague enough. Don't have to worry about lawsuits. The initial forecast for the bull market peak remains Q2 2025. All right, well, that's a bold statement. It is what it is. I'm pretty comfortable, and again, it's just people's opinions. Everybody's entitled to one. If they want to call a peak here, okay, they're entitled to their opinion. Whereas that would be in here. I personally think this could go on until the fall. I suppose if we look back 6, 8, 12 months from now and the peak came in somewhere in this area, I think they would probably say our forecast was generally correct. So I don't really see anything in this statement here that's too outlandish. I mean, they are making a bold prediction here. I would just simply say, and of course, this is just purely on nothing more than my funny 4-year seasonal cycle analysis, which seems to have kept us out of a lot of trouble. I could see a scenario like this where, we have our rally peak here, then we have a dump and everybody's like, that's it. And then there's one more push up into that 138.2 cycle pivot next fall. And that's your dump. Now, I don't think that that's the scenario. I think this is the scenario this year. But everybody's entitled to an opinion. And I wouldn't fault you if you were like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of Bitcoin through all of this. We are getting near the cycle. I'm just going to slowly exit. Nothing wrong with that. What I would just simply say is, for God's sakes, try and follow your plan. What is your plan? And if the market does something opposite to your plan, are you going to freak out? Nobody's holding a gun to your head. You don't have to be in this market. And this is actually why I teach you to trade setups. So you just simply say to me, Brian, I don't know what the market's going to do. I trade setups. If the market puts in 3 higher lows off of a 25 level, I'll be trading the bond. If it puts in a W against the bottom end of its range, and indicators are in bullish divergence, I'll be trading L tangonators, and that's how I get long. And if I don't see that, I don't do anything. And so right now, if that's the case, and you're looking at Bitcoin price, just like I said a few minutes ago, you should be long. You should be spoon feeding into this rally. And if this thing paints 3 higher lows, interesting how that the IBIT did not make a new high here. So technically this low is still workable. Interesting. Here we could say 1 kilo, 2 kilos. We get a 3rd kilo in here. And we can start thinking, here we go, back to the upside. And that's my response to this. It isn't necessarily like I'm going to say, no, they're wrong. They might be right. I don't really care. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. I trade setups. I'm here at TRI teaching you to hunt and trade setups. And that's about how I would leave this. They might be right. They might be wrong. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the broadcast at that. I'll do some follow-up. So post your follow-up comments of my answers. And you might be like, well, no, Brian, this was my question and you didn't speak to it. That's perfectly fine. So let's just circle back around. Yeah, tomorrow in the after party, or whatever we call it, the site video. And we'll circle back and we'll take a look at these questions, and either I did answer them or I didn't, and we'll take another whack at it. All right? All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. PMA for the win. Wish me luck on the road with Lily. All the best. Hugs and kisses. And the only thing left for Brian to say to you good people is a hearty bye for now.